Here is another subtraction problem that we're going to do. I have 17 and 4/10 minus 4 and 751 thousandths. First thing I want to do is stack it vertically so that I can line up my decimal points. Then I want to make sure my place values all line up nicely. So I'll write it in columns. And I'm going to set all of my empty spots with zeros on the extremes of the numbers. And then I'm ready to subtract, starting at the right side of the math problem. Well, when I come over here to the right side of the math problem, which is the thousandths place, I run into a little problem where I'm saying 0 subtract 1. And I can't do that. So I immediately try to go to the hundredths place to borrow, but there's nothing there. So I move over to the tenths place, and I see there are 4 there. So I'm going to take a tenth away, and I will be left with 3/10. And I'm going to give it to the column right beside it. It's like giving 10 hundredths here. And now, finally, the thousandths place is happy because his friend that's in the column right beside him now has something to borrow from. So we'll take a hundredth away, and we'll be left with 9 hundredths left. And we're going to give 10 thousandths over here to that column, because whenever you take 1/100th away, it's the same thing as giving 10 to the column on the right side of it. Now we're ready to do some subtraction. We have 10 subtract 1, we get 9. 9 subtract 5, we get 4. And then here we go again. 3 subtract 7, we're running into a problem. So we're going to go to the column right beside it, which just so happens to be the ones place. We're going to borrow 1. We'll be left with 6. And when you give 1 over to it, it's like giving 10 to the column right beside it. So we'll have 10 and 3 can now be put together, since there was still 3 there. And we have 13 to work with. If I can write that down. My pen's kind of... Sorry, my digital pen's giving me fits. So we have 13 altogether that we can work with. The 10 that we borrowed and the 3 that were still there. So now we're going to say 13 subtract 7, and we're left with 6. Now we're ready to move on to the ones place. We have 6 subtract 4. We're left with 2. And 1 subtract 0, and we're left with 1. And don't forget to bring down that decimal point, and we're left with 12 and 649 thousandths.